Hello guys, in this session let's learn something about trees. So before that, let's discuss what exactly is a tree. So a tree is nothing but it is the best example for a non-linear data structure. Then what exactly is a linear data structure? So linear data structure is nothing but it has a specific arrangement. Say for example, either it may be in the arrangement of rows or else it may be in the arrangement of columns. So best examples are stack, queue, linked list, arrays. So these are all some examples for a linear data structure. And when it comes with non-linear data structure, so the best example is trees as well as graph, because here there is no such fixed arrangement possible for any of the trees or as a graph. So based on the requirements or based on the input which we are going to feed, it is going to take any shape where the user cannot predict it before getting the input from the user. So this is what it is actually considered as a non-linear data structure. And what is a tree? So tree is nothing but it will have something like branches and it will have something like leaves, right? So same way here a tree is nothing but you will be having a root, followed by the root you will be having some children. So either it will be left child or right child, followed by that it will have some more values. So a node without any children, right? So assume that here I have a root node. So always the top of the tree is called as the root node, followed by which you will be having some more nodes, and the node which doesn't have any other nodes after this is considered to be a leaf node. So a node that doesn't have any children after that is considered to be a leaf node. So this is what the structure of a tree, and trees actually takes place in many forms, and we have certain types of trees. Say for example, we have binary tree, we have binary search tree, we have ABL tree, split tree, tri tree, and so on. So still we have a lot of types of tree, and red black tree. So we are not going to focus on all the types of tree, but we are going to focus on binary tree, binary search tree, as well as AVL tree, right? So why did I choose these three tree algorithms? So there is a reason behind why I have chosen only these three, because so binary tree is actually a basic which we need to know about the entire tree data structure. Followed by that, binary search tree is one good important thing, or you can say it as the most important algorithm you need to know about a tree structure. And binary search tree is the most widely used data structures which will be writing a program whenever it comes with competitive coding. Followed by that, we'll be going with AVL tree, right? So there are some few specialities about AVL tree that we'll discuss later on the same session. So now we'll just focus on binary tree as well as binary search tree. Before that, let's try to cover up all the basics of a tree. So why do we actually go, or why do we use a tree? So even you can say it as the purpose of a tree. So purpose of a tree is nothing but, for example, if you consider a college, right? So if you consider a college, you will be having the principal, right? So you'll be having the principal. So below principal, you will be having the HOD, right? So you'll be having multiple HOD for all the departments. Say for example, it can be CAC, it can be ECE, it can be civil, mechanical, and whatever department it might be. So under the HOD, you'll be having faculties. So under the faculties, we'll be having students, right? So no students can directly go and contact the principal unless otherwise he or she has committed any mistake. So if he wants to move something that is regarding to academics or whatever it might be, he can directly contact the faculty. Faculty will be contacting or communicating with the HOD, and HOD will be communicating with the principal. So this is how the entire tree structure actually works. And even if you go with a company, right? So even in an organization, first we'll be having CEO. Below CEO, we'll be having some other person. Say for example, it might be manager. So let it be senior manager. Then you will be having a manager. Followed by manager, you will be having the team lead, and then the employee, right? So wherever we go, we are going to focus on a tree structure. For example, it follows a hierarchical order. So that exactly made us implement a new algorithm called as tree algorithm or tree data structure. So this is why this trees concept actually came into existence. And Here CEO is the top level in a company and senior manager is the next top level, and we have further levels in a company. Same way in the colleges also. So wherever we consider the hierarchy, or even in our family, we have our grandparents, right? So we have our grandparents, followed by that we have our mom as well as dad, followed by that it is going to be us as well as our brother or sister or whatever our siblings is going to be, right? So this is how our family chart works. Same way everything can be considered under the roof called as trees, right? So only thing we need to focus here is everything actually comes as a branch, or we have to focus, or we can say this as a part of a tree. So this is what exactly the tree algorithm is going to work. And here we are speaking about levels, right? So that exactly is going to be levels over the tree also. So here root is considered as level 0, then this particular nodes are considered as level 1, and last nodes, these are all called as level 2, and so on, right? So this is how the entire tree algorithm works, and we used to consider it as root node and other nodes, and we can also say this as child nodes. And when it comes to the last node, which doesn't have any other nodes after that, it is called as leaf node, right? So this is what we need to focus on tree. So we have discussed about root node, child node, and at last we have discussed about leaf node. So I'll repeat this once again. So root node is nothing but always the top of the tree is considered to be the root node, and child node is nothing but all the nodes that takes as a branch of your root node is considered to be a child node, and a node without any children, right? So a node without any children is called as a leaf node. And here the main thing is each and every node can have at most 2 children, right? So it can have either no children or 1 children, or it can have 2 children at max and not more than that, right? So if I want to include some more children, it should be either a branch of the next children, right? So this is how a tree actually going to work, and one node can have only 2 connections at a maximum. So this is what a tree algorithm is going to work. And we have also learned about the first part, that is we have certain levels in a tree. So first one constitutes level 0, then level 1 and level 2. And again we have to focus on one more thing, that is a tree has actually 2 subdivision. One is left subtree and right subtree. So I'll write it here, left subtree and right subtree, right? So left subtree as well as right subtree, and left subtree is nothing but root of left. So left side of the root, whatever values or whatever nodes we have, it is entirely called as left subtree. And root of right, so whatever values we have on the right side, it is called as right subtree. For a we can call it as right subtree, right? So this is how a tree has 2 divisions. So one is left subtree and another one is going to be your right subtree. So this is one more thing which we need to focus on a tree algorithm. And followed by this, we also have a few more terms like height of a tree, diameter of a tree, and so on. So height of a tree is nothing but you have to find the maximum height of a particular tree. So for example, here I have a root node, followed by the root node I have 2 children, and those 2 children again have 2 children, and these 4 are considered to be a leaf node. So now if I try to find what is the height of the tree, here it takes 1 edge and again 1 more edge to reach the final node. Same way if I consider with the right subtree, again I have 2 maximum edges to reach the last node. So this is how the tree works. So height of the left subtree is also 2, height of the right subtree is also equivalent to 2. So final height of the tree will be the maximum height of left subtree as well as the right subtree. So here the height of the tree will be equivalent to 2. So now let me just write it one more time and show you few examples for a tree data structure. So now assume that I have a tree and my first value is going to be 10. So here 10 will be considered as a root node. And now assume that I have given a value as 8. So 8 is to the left of 10. So left of 8, again I have a value 7, and right of 8, assume that we have a value as 9. Same way, now let's move back with right subtree, and here let's assume I have a value as 14. Left of 14 I have 12, and left of 12 I have 11, and right of 12 I have the value 13. Same way, right of 14 I have 17, and left of 17 I have 16, and right of 17 I have 18. So assume that this is going to be a tree structure, and if I try to find out what is the left subtree and right subtree, so in my left subtree, I have exactly 3 nodes, that is 7, 8 and 9. So this is what the values I have in my left subtree, and root node is nothing but, or else root of the tree is 10, and in right subtree, so in right subtree we have the values 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17 and 18, right? So these are all the values we have in the right subtree. So let us write it as 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17 and 18, right? So if you see this, so the number of values we have in the right subtree is actually greater than that of left subtree. So now let's try to find what is the height of the tree. So if I try to find the height of the tree, so first let's move with left subtree. So in left subtree, I have one edge that connects root node and the first child, and again I have one more edge here, right? So these two belongs to same level, so I can consider this as one single level for height. So altogether in the left subtree, your height is equal to 2. Right, so maximum height is equal to 2, and when I come with right subtree, so I have a height of 1, then 2, 3. So these two belong to same level, so height is 3 over here, and let's go with another path also. So 1, 2 and again 3. So if you try to calculate this, so the final height of the right subtree is equivalent to 3. So now if I try to find what is going to be the maximum value out of 2 and 3, I can directly say 3 is the largest value. So it means that height of this tree is nothing but 3. Right? So height of this tree is nothing but 3. And how many leaf node do we have? Right? So how many leaf nodes are there? So leaf node is nothing but a node without any children is considered to be a leaf node. So here I have 7, 9, 11, 13, 16 and 18. So these nodes are considered to be a leaf node where it doesn't have any children after that. So 7, 9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we have 6 leaf nodes in this entire tree structure. So this is how we are calculating that tree, right? So first we have discussed about what exactly is a tree and why do we go for a tree and types of tree. So we have left subtree, we have AVL tree, red black tree and so on, right? So we are not going to focus on that as of now. So only after the implementation of this tree algorithm we are going to focus on other tree structures. And here when you look at a normal tree, we actually have 3 types of traversing, right? So how will you traverse through a tree? So tree traversal actually have 3 techniques. So first one is called as in order, and second one is called as pre-order, and third one is called as post order, right? So also you can say it as in order or infix, and this is prefix and postfix, right? So first tree traversal technique is in order, then pre-order and post order, and I'll tell you what exactly is in order. So in a tree, in a normal binary search tree or any of the sorted tree, or if you have a proper tree structure, so in order always gives you the output in ascending order, right? So it always gives you the output in ascending order, or else you might also say it as left, then root and right. So left, root and right. So this is how you can say this. So first you have to concentrate on left node, then root node and then your right node. So this actually goes, it actually starts from the last node or else the dead end of a tree, and it goes back to the remaining parts of the tree. So same way when I go with pre-order, so name itself we have something called as pre. So pre means first it should be root, then left and then right. So root, left and right. So followed by this I have post order, so it is going to be left, right and at last it is going to be root, right? So left, right and then it is going to be root. So now let's see about how the exact procedures is going to work, right? So first we have seen about what is the in order, and then we have seen what is pre-order and what is post order. Now let me just construct a tree and let me show you how all the values are going to traverse in the entire tree. So now let's construct a tree, and here I have a root node as 10, and left side I have a value as 8, and left of 8 assume that we have a value 7, and right of 8 we have a value as 9, followed by the same right of 10 assume that we have a value 12. Now here left of 12 I have 11, and right of 12 I have the value 13, right? So let's assume the tree in this way, and now we are going to follow infits, prefix as well as postfix order, right? So let's try to find out what are all the values, or in which way we are going to traverse through the tree, and what are all the values we'll get at last, right? So before that, let me say you something about left subtree as well as right subtree. So when we go with left subtree, always the value should be less than your root node, right? So whenever we go with the left subtree, the values will be always less than your root node, and when you go with right subtree, the values will be always greater than your root node. So this is how your program is going to allocate with all the values. So the values that is less than root node should be on left subtree, and the values that is greater than your root node should be on right subtree. So this is a basic thing which we need to know about a tree, and do remember the tree will be always in a sorted order too, right? So now if you see this tree, I have 10, and 10 of left I have 8, 10 of right I have 12. So 8 is less than 10, so I have in left subtree, and 12 is greater than 10, so we have in the right subtree. Same way I have 8 over here, so let's consider 8 as a root node. So 8 of left we have 7, 8 of right we have 9. So 7 is less than 8, so it's in left side, and 9 is greater than 8, so it is in the right side. So same way 11 is less than 12, so it's in the left. 13 is greater than 12, so it's in the right. So this is how actually a tree works for almost all the nodes, and every node is also considered as a root node whenever it has, or even you can say it as not root node, it should be the parent node, right? So parent node or root node, but the main root for the tree is always only one, right? So we will have only one root node for the entire tree, and that should always be in the top position. So now we'll go with infix, prefix and postfix. So I told you about infix is nothing but you have to go with left node, then root node, and then right. So left, root and right. So let's start writing the values here. Also you can expect the output to be in ascending order for the entire tree. So for left, root and right, so I'll be going with the extreme leftmost node, that is nothing but 7, right? So in this entire tree, the extreme leftmost node is nothing but 7. So first we have to take the value 7. So followed by 7, then I have to go with root of 7, right? So I don't have any other values after 7, so I can go with root of 7. So root of 7 is 8. So after root, I have to go with right hand part. So right side is 9. So again, after 7, 8 and 9, I have to go with root node, that is going to be 10. So after root, again go with right. So when it comes with right side, this 12 actually has a left node, right? So I cannot directly print 12 since it is a right node. I still need to check whether 12 has a values or not, right? So 12 has two children, so one is 11. So first I have to give left node, then root node, that is 12, and then it should be right node, that is 13. So this is what the exact order for a infix notation. And if you see the in order format here, it is actually in ascending order. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. So entire tree values is given here, and it is also in sorted order, or even you can say it as it will be in increasing order always, right? So next is, let's go with prefix. So where in prefix, first value should be root, followed by that it should be left and then right. So root, left and right. So first is directly print your root node. So your root node here is 10, and when I go with 8, 8 is also a root node, so I will be printing 8, and left node is 7, and then right node, that is 9, followed by that 12 should be printed since it is a root node, followed by 12 I need to print 11, and then right node, that is 13. So again we have the prefix order here, or you can say it as pre-order values. So now let's move with post order or postfix. So here it should be left, then right, and at last it should be root. So it means that here you can guess the final output. So the value 10 will be at the last end of our entire program, right? So here, since it is a prefix value, we have 10 in the beginning, and all the root nodes will be in the beginning of each and every node. But when it comes with postfix notation, you will have the root node only at the last. So now let's try to decompose this tree into a postfix format. So first let me move with the root node. So 10, I cannot print 10 since it has left node. So left node is 8. Again 8 has 2 children. So first I have to focus on left node, then right node. Only after that it should be my root node. So left node is 7, right node is 9. After that root node is 8. Same way, now I cannot print the root node. Still I have right node to be focused on. So when I come back with right node, it is actually 12, but still 12 have left and right node. So directly print 11, then 13, then 12, and at last it should be 10. So if you see this further, 7 and 9 belongs to 8. 11 and 13 belongs to 12, and now 8 and 12 belongs to 10. So this is how our program actually gives the value for a postfix notation, right? So to understand this better, let me give you one more example. So now let us draw one more tree structure here, and let me give the value as 15. Followed by this 15, let's assume I have the number as 13 over here, and followed by 13, let's assume I have 11, and left side I have 10, and right side I have 12. Right? So let's assume in this way. Followed by this, right of 13, let's assume I have the value 14. So now after 15, assume that we have 17, and here we have 16, and here let's assume we have 19, and here it's 18 and 20. So let's assume our tree is in this way. So same way I need in order, pre-order as well as post-order value. So first let's move with in order. So for in order, as we know already, it should always be in sorted order or increasing order. Even you may say it as left, right, and then root. So again, you have to start with your root node. So root node has a left node, so I'll come with 13. So 13 again has a left node, so I'll move with 11. 11 again has a left node, that is 10. But after 10, we don't have any nodes. Right? So 10 is the end point, or you might say it as the extreme leftmost node in your tree. So I'll be printing 10. Followed by 10, I'll go with root node, that is 11. Followed by 11, I'll go with next node, that is rightmost node, that is 12. After 12, we don't have any other node, so come back to root node, that is 13. Now after 13, I have to go with 14. After 14, there is no such nodes to proceed with, so you'll be moving back to your root node itself, that is 13. So already 13 of left is done, so you'll move back with root node, or you will move back one step to the top, so you'll print the root node, that is 15. After that, I'll move with right side. So when I come back with 17, 17 actually has a left node. So I have to print 16 at first, then 17. After 17, we'll move with right node, but directly I can't print 19 because 19 has a left node, right? So if I don't have this 18, then I can actually print 17, 19 and 20. But here I have a left node. So I have to proceed with left node first, then the root node, and then the right node. So now see here 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 until 20, we have all the elements in an increasing order. So this is again going to be an increasing form, and this again says that it is an in order format. Now let's go with prefix or pre-order. So pre-order, we very well know first thing should be our root node, right? So first thing should be root node. Only after that it should be left as well as the right node. So when I come with root, it should be 15. And when I go with next value, it is 13. 13 is also a root node, so I'll print 13. Followed by 13, I'll go with next node, that is left side part, that is 11. 11 is a root node, right? So after that, you will print 10 and 12. After 10 and 12, I'll move with the root node itself, but I have rightmost value here, so it should be 14. After 14, you will directly move back with 17, and then 16, then 19, 18, and at last it will be 20, right? So I'll explain you one more time with pre-order. First, I'll be displaying the root node. Followed by the root node, we'll be moving with the next node, and the next node, if it is root node, you can directly print the same. So 13 is a root node, so I have printed 13. Followed by 13, I cannot move with 14 because 13 has a left part, right? So 13 has a left part, so I'll move with left. So here 11 is also a root node, so I'll be printing 11. Followed by 11, I have a left node, that is 10, and I have a right node, that is 12. After this subtree, I don't have any other values to be printed or any other nodes to visit. I'll move back with 13 itself. So when I come back with 13, I have to print the value 14. So we have printed 14 also. So after this, I'll be moving with 13, and again I'll move with 15. Already these nodes are getting visited, so you will move back with the right subtree where 17 is a root node. So we have displayed 17. After 17, it has a left node, that is 16. After that, I'll go with the right node, that is 19, and also 19 is a root node, so we have displayed the same, followed by which left and right nodes are getting printed. So now we'll move with the last notation, that is postfetch or post order, right? So now let's try to print the postfetch value. So postfetch, we very well know the number 15 should be at the extreme right hand part, or else you can also say the root node should be always at the right part. So first I'll start with the tree, that is from the root node. I'll move with left, 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 and I'll move with 10 at the last. So first I'll print 10, followed by 10 I have to print 12, that is right node, and then root node, that is 11. After 11 I cannot directly print 13 because 11 along with 11 in the same level I have the element 14 also, so you have to print 14, followed by 11 and 14 there is no such nodes to be printed, so I'll move with one more step to the top, so it is 13, followed by 13 I'll directly move with right side part, right? So instead of printing the root node I have to move with right part. So when I come back with right part I have 17, but I cannot print 17 as of now. I have to proceed with left part of 17 at first. So left part of 17 is nothing but 16, followed by 16 I have to move with right part, that is 19. So same level, that is 19, but 19 is actually not a leaf node to be printed directly, it has a left and right node. So left node of 19 is 18, then 18 and 20 should be done first, right? So same level values should be displayed at first. So 18, then 20, then 19. After 19, 16 and 19 is done now. After 19 I can go with 17. Only after 17, see, now 13 and 17 is getting printed where these two are in the same level, right? So 13 as well as 17 have been printed here, and now the final node to be printed is nothing but a root node, right? So now see here, this is going to be the postfetch order for this entire tree data structure. So now I hope you will be clear about the traversal techniques that is available in a tree. So after this we have to learn something about common ancestor. So you might get a common term, or you might have a question like find the common ancestor for the given nodes. For example, now let me consider the second tree. So if I ask you about what is the common ancestor of the number 10 and 12, it will be 11, right? So common ancestor is nothing but the common root node for two nodes, right? So a common node which connects both the nodes. Say for example, the common node for 14 and 10, right? So common node for 14 and 10 will be equivalent to 13, right? So 14 is over here and 10 is over here. So 14 is directly connected with 13 and 10 is connected with 11, where 11 is connected with 13. So it means that the common ancestor for 14 as well as 10 is nothing but 13. Same way, now if I try to find out the common ancestor of 14 and 18, right, or else any node from here, so 13 and 18, it is going to be the root node. So here there will be one more shortcut, that is if the two values are like, now assume that I have the root node here as 15, right? So 15 is the root in this tree, and we have some more values here. So I have 13 as one node, first node, and 17 as my second node, right? So in this case, if I have one node lesser than the root node and other node greater than the root node, it means that your final common ancestor is going to be root node itself, right? So because it is in two extreme ends of the subtrees, so one is at left subtree and another one is at right subtree, so that is why we are saying the final output as your root node itself. So what if both the numbers are less than your root node or both the numbers are greater than your root node? So in that case it will be either residing on your left subtree or else it will be residing on your right subtree. For example, here if the values are 13 and 14, right? So if the values are 13 and 14, it will be in the left subtree, and common ancestor for 13 and 14 is going to be 15 itself, right? So this is how we can actually try to find the values or the ancestor for an entire tree. Okay, so now let's discuss about a quick recap for the entire tree, and we'll just summarize the points which we have discussed earlier. So first we learned about how to construct a tree, and we learned about root node. So followed by root node we also learned about leaf node, and we learned that each and every node can have a maximum of 2 children, right? So a node has max of 2 children. So same way we also learned something like a tree has 2 divisions, So two divisions in a tree. So the two divisions are nothing but right subtree as well as left subtree. So also we have learned something about height of the tree and finding the leaf nodes and so on. Also we have learned about traversal techniques of a tree. So traversal technique actually takes part with three divisions, or as you may say it as there are three traversing ways. So one is in order, another one is pre-order, and last one is post order. So when it comes with in order, the arrangement will be left, root and right. When it comes with pre-order, it will be root, left and then it will be right. And when it comes with post order, it will be left, right and then at last it will be root. So this is what the basic thing which we learned about a tree. And always do remember the root node. So the values that is less than the root node will be at left subtree, and values greater than the root node will be at right subtree. So one more basic which we need to learn about, or we need to know about a tree. And that's all I guess. Yes, that's all guys. And now, so let's quickly start with the implementation of a binary search tree. So binary search tree is one important tree algorithm which we have to learn, because so in a binary search tree it will be in a sorted form. For example, left subtree will be always lesser than your root node, and right subtree will be always greater than your root node. So this is what the tree data structure is going to be. But if I take the binary tree, it actually won't be in a proper form. Say for example, the nodes will be arranged as per the insertion order itself. So it won't mind about whether it is less than or greater than and so on. So it will just takes place with the insertion order itself. So we won't prefer binary tree for our implementation. So we can focus on binary search tree. Followed by this, we'll focus on AVL tree, right? So AVL tree is nothing but it is a self-balanced tree. And if you see this tree, if you see the previous tree structures which we have learned here, so you cannot say that the tree is entirely in a balanced form. Say for example, in left subtree I have only 3 nodes, but in right subtree I have more than 3 nodes, right? So it should not be done always, right? So this is why we are going with AVL tree, where it is called as a self-balanced tree. So always it will do a rotation for a tree and it will make it as a self-balanced one, so that your tree will be entirely balanced. So also we have learned something about finding the ancestor for a tree. Right, so common ancestor for a tree. This is also one more frequently repeated question in any of the competitive codings. So ancestor is nothing but the common root which we have for 2 nodes in the same tree, right? So this is what we have to remember in a tree. And before going into the implementation of a tree, let's speak about what are all the real-time applications of a tree. So Google search engine is very good example for a tree. Google search engine. So if I just type something like for example, if I type data and if I just start typing STRU, in the bottom of the screen, in the bottom of the search box, you will be receiving n number of predictions here, or else you will be receiving some suggestions over there, and these suggestions are nothing but it follows a tree algorithm. So same way your dictionary. So dictionary app is also one more good example for a tree algorithm. So same way, whatever values I'm going to place inside my database or whatever it is, it always follows something called as your tree algorithm, right? So now let's try to find out, or else let's discuss about how to implement a tree. So here we are going to see about binary search tree implementation. So as usual, we need 4 parts over here, right? So we'll have 4 parts. So first part is going to be creation of class or creation of node. You can also say it as creation of nodes. After creation of nodes, so I will need to have something like insert method, as well as you need something like display method, and at last we need that main method. So but in display method I'll be having 3 divisions, right? So instead of one display method, you will have three particular methods over here. So one is going to be in order, and next one will be pre-order, and last one will be post order. So this is these are all some methods which we need to focus in our tree algorithm. So first thing is, it will be normally looking like class node, so you can write it as public, and for Java users we don't want public. So after this we'll be writing something like int data, but remaining two things is going to be node star of left C. So left C represents left child, and next one is going to be right child. So this is the first thing. So I'll be creating a class called as node, and in this node you will be having three parts. So one is data part and left child as well as a right child. So this is how the entire tree is going to work. And now we actually we are going to follow something called as recursion process. So recursion is nothing but calling the same function by itself. So that is what recursion is considered to be. And here for insertion, for deletion, and for everything we'll be actually following something called as insertion order. We'll be using recursion process. So now this is all about creation of a node. So just we have done with the first case alone, but here insertion itself, it will be a tedious process. So whenever I'm going to consider a tree, so the very first node, very first node will be holded in the head node, or in the head block, and this is nothing but your root node. And whenever you are going to insert a new node, I'll check whether it is less than or greater than. So if it is less than root node, it will be in left subtree. If it is greater than root node, it should be in right subtree. So here the recursion also take place in the same way, right? So recursion also, it takes place in the same way. So if it is less than the root node, and I'll go on with left subtree of the root node, and if I find that the root node is going to be if I find that the root node of left is empty, then root node of left will be replaced as the new node. So same way with the right node. So now let's have an input from the user. So assume that user has given an input as 10, 8, 9, 7, then 12, 13, and 11. So now let's assume in this way, right? So we have a nodes in this way, and I want to insert all the nodes, and at last assume that user has given 0. So after 0, it will stop the execution, or stop collecting the input from user. So first the inserted value is 10, right? So what will happen is, first we'll be inserting the value 10, and this is going to be the head, or even you can say it as root. So head as well as root. So next element is 8. So I'll check whether 8 is greater than or less than 10. So it is less than 10, and I'll check with left part of 10. So 10 of left is null. So I'll be replacing this new node over here. So 8 is now placed to the left of 10. So same way now I'll move with 9. 9 is less than 8. So I'll move with left of 10. 9 is less than the root node. So you'll be moving with the left subtree. And when I'm comparing 8 and 9, 9 is greater than this. So right side of 8 should be 9. So now next value is 7. So 7 is less than 10, also less than 8, and 8 of left is null. So 7 will be inserted over here. Same way now it's 12. So 12 is greater than 10. So it will be over here. Followed by that I have 13. 13 is greater than 10, also greater than 12. So it should be over here. When it comes with next value 11, 11 is greater than 10 but lesser than 12, so it will be over here. So this is how the entire program execution is going to work, and we have to write a lot of logic for this. Same way, whenever I am going to print the values in order, pre-order, and post-order, right? So main method is same as which we have learned in yesterday's class as well as day before yesterday's session. That is for implementing of linked list and stack and queue. So main method is same, right? So I think I don't want to discuss it again in this session. But when it comes with display process, we need to move with three different steps. Like first, for the in order, what I have to do is I have to write three recursion process, or in the same recursion, first I need to go with root of left, right? So first you will be moving with root of left, and again you will be calling root of left. So same recursive calls will be passed, and when I find that root of left is equal to null, right? So if I find that root of left is equal to null, it means that first I'll take 10, and 10 of left will be passed. So 10 of left is 8, so 8 of left will be passed again, so that will be 7. And if I find 7 of left is equal to null, I'll display 7, right? So I'll display root and I'll move back to the previous function itself. Since it is a recursive call, it will move back to the previous case. And now what I'll be doing is, after this I'll be writing display of root. So I'll be writing display root. After that I'll move with root of right. So in this place I'll be moving with root of right, so I'll move with 9. So when I come back to the same function with 9 actually doesn't have a left node as well as right node, so you'll be displaying 9, the value 9 itself, right? So this actually works in a multiple recursive calls. So same way, whenever you come with remaining part, say for example it can be your it can be infix, this is for infix order, and when it comes with postfix and prefix, again you are going to just interchange these values, right? So more than discussing on paper, pen and paper by session, let me show you the compiler and discuss you the entire program logic, right? So I'll just show you the entire thing in the compiler now. So now let's see the implementation of a binary search tree. So very first step is going to be giving the header file necessary for the program. So hash include bits slash standard C++.h. So we have given our header file necessary, and as usual let's give using namespace std. So now we have done with the header part. Then we have to create our class, right? So the very first step is creation of a class. So class node, and inside this I'm going to give public, and in public what I'm going to give is, I'm just going to give int data. So I need a data part. Followed by the data part, what do I need here, right? So followed by data I need node star of left, and let it be left itself, right? So left as well as right side, so node star of right. So see here we have just created our class, and in that class we actually have a data part and left as well as right, and here left and right is going to hold the previous, there is a left node as well as the right node. So followed by this I need a root variable, right? So let's instead of head here I'm going to use the name as root. So by default root value will be equivalent to null. So this is what the first step which I'm going to use here. And followed by this we need that insert method, right? So before going into insert method, let me first finish off the main method so that you will have a clear idea about what we are going to do in this program. So first int main. So followed by main, what I'm going to do is, so int data, and next is about so int data, and followed by which we are starting a do while loop, and this loop has to be executed till it reaches till the data value is greater than 0, right? So while data greater than 0. So followed by this, in this do what I'm going to do is cin data. So we are going to receive data, and if data greater than 0, then what I need to do is I need to call the insert function. So insert of star ampersand root comma data. So this is what we had done from the first day's program, and that's all about this. And followed by which after the termination of this do while loop, what we have to do. So after the termination of this do while loop, we have to go with in order traversal, pre-order and post order, right? So see out. So first one is going to be in order traversal. So I'm going to use /n and in order traversal, right? So in order traversal, followed by which I'm going to call in order method. So in order of root. Same way, let's just copy this 2 more times for post order as well as pre-order. So here second one can be your pre-order. So instead of in, I'm just going to give pre, as well as here also let's modify this. And last one is about to be post order. And here instead of in, let's modify this as post order. So now what happens is, so we just have a main function, and inside main function as usual we are receiving the data from the user, and then if data is greater than 0 we are calling that insert method, and this loop actually executes till it reaches the value, or till it reaches the value less than 0 or equivalent to 0. followed by which instead of writing directly with display method, here we are moving with three types of displays. So first is in order traversal, then automatically it will call the in order method, and it will go with pre-order traversal as well as it will move with post-order traversal. So that's all about our main function over here. Now let's see how to write a insert method for this program, right? So insert method, so if you clearly able to understand this insert method, then you won't have any other doubt with the remaining implementation. So listen carefully in this insert part. So as usual, let's do void insert of, and it should be node star of root comma int data. So what have we done actually? So we have just called that insert method, and we have given the parameters to be received here. So that is node double star of root and int of data, and here we are just going to create a node, right? So we are going to create the node. So before that, let's have a variable. Here I have only root, right? So we didn't have that remaining values, that is new node as well as temp. So node star of temp comma star of new node. So we have created two more variables. So one is star of temp and another one is new node. So now let me modify this temp value, right? So temp is equivalent to star of root. So every time I just need to modify the temp value with root. So we have to start with the root. So that's the main reason why I have given temp is equal to star of root. So followed by this, I have to create a new node, right? So new node is equal to new node of. So we have created our object successfully. So now just do new node of data is equivalent to data, new node of left is equivalent to null, same way new node of right is also equivalent to null. See, so we have just data part, left part as well as right part. So we have given the data to be equivalent to data, and left and right should be null by default. So whenever we are creating a node, it should have the left as well as right node equal to null, so that when it comes with the next iteration, based on the values which we are going to insert, these elements will be occupied again. So followed by which, as usual, we have to write if star of head equal to sorry, not head, it should be root. So star of head equal to null, right? So if this condition is true, then what's the only change I have to do? So star of root should be equivalent to your new node which you have created. So else, here comes the entire logic of the program. So here else part is a different one. So we have to give while of 1, and why do we give while of 1 here? Because I need to check whether it is less than or greater than my root node, right? So based on that, we can execute the entire process. So if the data which I have received is less than temp of data, so why do we give temp of data here? Because temp will hold my root node, right? So temp will directly hold my root node. So if the data which I have collected is less than this temp of data, if it is less than the root node, it means that I have to store the values in the left subtree, right? So or else we have to move with right subtree. So if I come back inside the left subtree, let's see what are all the changes we have to do here, right? So if temp of left is not equal to null, right? So if temp of left is not equal to null, then what I have to do? So in temp of left, I need to modify it as or else we have to modify temp as temp of left, right? So why do we do this? If the data is less than my temp of data, it means that it should be in left subtree, and the next step is I will be checking it whether temp of left is not equal to null, right? So if it is equal to null, then I can directly store that values. That is, I can directly say it as a new node. Then else I have to change temp to temp of left. So again it will come back here, and I very well know data will be less than or equal to less than the temp of data. So it acts like a recursion process, right? So that's the main reason why we have given this. So once I started filling else if part for this if, you will clearly understand why we are going with the logic. So now inside this so alternate for this if is nothing but else part, and in else what I have to do is, right? So alternate for this if I will be just modifying left is equivalent to new node. So why do we do this particular process? So because if I find that the data is less than my root node, then I will check the temp of left, right? So if temp of left is null, if it is not equal to null, then I have to modify temp of left, else I have to go with temp of left equal to that new node itself, right? So see here, the condition is if temp of if data is less than temp of data, right? So assume that this is going to be a root node and the data is less than your root node. So now if I find that root node of left is equal to null, it means that root node of left should be modified as that new node. So that is what we are doing here, and I have to give a break. So why do we give a break? To entirely stop this while loop, right? So that is what we have given a break, and this is the condition which executes only when data is less than your temp of data, right? So less than your root node. In that case, I will be moving with left subtree, else I have to write a logic for my right subtree, right? So let's start writing a right subtree. So else if, right? So in else if temp of right not equal to null, so temp of right not equal to null, so in that case what are all the changes we have to make? So temp equal to temp of right. So here what we are doing, so if temp of right is not equal to null, then I will be modifying temp of right, else after this I need a else part. In else part what we are supposed to do, so temp of right is equal to new node, right? So if temp of right is also equivalent to null, it means that temp of right should be the new node. So why do I go with this condition? Because if I find that the data is greater than temp of data, it means that it should not be in the left subtree. I have to go and check with the right subtree. So if that root of right is not equal to null, then I have to modify this value, that is temp should be modified as temp of right. And if I find that temp of right is equal to null, it means that in temp of right I have to store the new node, and after this we have to give a break, right? So whenever we modify it as new node, we will be giving break, and that's all about your insert method, right? So we have purely done with our insert method. So now let's move with the display process, right? So display process, first step is for in order, right? So void in order of node star of root. So here what we are supposed to do, so we have to create one more new variable. So let us name it as node star of temp equal to root. So why do we give star of temp here? Because it is a duplicate variable that can be accessed only inside the node, inside this method. Same way here this temp can be accessed only within this function, right? So that's the main reason why I have used the same name for this variable also. And if temp equal to null, right? So if temp is equal to null, then I don't want to do anything, so let's do a return alone, else we have to go with a in order format, that is in order. Again we have to call the same process, right? So temp of left, and next is about see out temp of data, right? So temp of data, and let's do a small space. After this again I'm going to call in order of temp of right. So why do we give this left and right over here? Because first for in order we have to print left node, then we have to print the root node, and then we have to print the right node. So first if I call the left node, what happens is, so at once I come back here, I'll check whether temp is equal to null. If temp is not equal to null, it means that there are few values in existence. So I will be just calling out this method, that is line number 58 will be done. So in line number 58 what we are doing, so that root of left is now called, and again I will come back inside the same function. So now what happens is, so temp value will be modified as root, and that is going to be the left node, and again I'll check whether it is equal to null. So when it is equal to null, I'll return back, and the temp of data will be printed. So the temp of data will be printed over here, and so that after printing the data, then I have to print the remaining value, that is going to be the root node. So in order we very well know it should be left, root, and then right. So after this it will again move back with the recursion process, and then it will go back with right node. So after the root node it will again return null, and it will move back with the printing the right node, and it continues till it reaches the end of the loop. So same way, let's just copy this, and let's try to modify this for remaining values also, right? So that is going to be pre-order as well as post-order. So do remember here for in-order it should be left, and then it should be right, and for pre-order or post-order, right? So first let's try with pre-order. So pre-order, and here also the everything is almost same one, but only changes first we have to display the root node, right? So first is we have to display the root node. So I'll be writing the display function here. So cout values will be given, and then it should be left and then right. So that's why we have that's the small change which we have made here. So it should be temp of data as well as temp of left and then temp of right. So followed by the same, let's just do this one more time, and that is for post order, right? So let's just copy this one more time, and now this is going to be for post order. So instead of pre-order, let's just give it as post order. So in post order, what I am supposed to do, so first is I have to print left, right, only at last we are supposed to print the root node, right? So let's just remove these two lines and give it over this, so that first what happens is it will call the entire left node, and when I reach the extreme left hand part, I'll be printing the data. So after that you will print the right node, and at last it will print you with the root node. So now let's try to compile this code. So we have done entirely with the logics. So let's try to compile this, and there is no such error in our code. So let's give 10, and left of 10 we'll have 8, and 8 of left we'll have 7, and 8 of right we'll have 9, followed by which root of right I'll have 12, and 12 of left I'll have 11, and after that 12 of right we'll have 13, and then let me give 0, so it will stop the entire thing. And now see here, we have done the program in a perfect way. So first 10 is going to be the root node, then root node has two child, one is going to be 8 and another one is going to be 12. So first see here, in order traversal we actually have everything in ascending order. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. So for pre-order, first we need to print the root node, right? So that is 10, and here there is a small difference, like so first we are printing the root node, then we are printing 7 and 8, right? So it should be 8, 7 and 9, right? So after that it should be 12, then it should be 13, 12, then it should be 11 and 13. So it means that in pre-order we have made a small mistake. So let's go through what is the mistake we have made. And in post-order it should be 7, 9, and then it should be 8, right? So it should be 7, 9, and then it should be 8, then it should be 11, 13, and then it should be 12, and then at last 10. So it means that in order is completely right, but in pre-order as well as post-order there are few mistakes. So let's try to figure out what are all the mistakes we have made in pre-order as well as post-order. So first let's check with post-order. It's in post-order it should be okay, so as usual temp of root it is right, and if temp equal to null we should return that. And next is okay, so see here guys, we forgot to make something, like we have copied everything, right? So in pre-order and post-order the mistake is, so again we have forgot to change this one, so it should be pre-order, same way this should be pre-order, right? So in recursion process we have made a small mistake, so instead of in order we have to modify it as pre-order itself, right? Same way with post-order also. Okay, so now let's just save this program and recompile this one more time, and again let me give the same input, or else let me try with some different input, like let it be 15 as a root node, and left of 15 I need 13, and again I need 14, that should be right of 13, and I'll give 12, that should be over left, and then let me give a value as 17 and 16, 18, then I'll give 20, and at last let it be 19 and 0. So now see here, in order traversal we got everything in a perfect way, that is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 up to 20, and in pre-order it should be root at first, right? So root is 15, after that my root will be 13, and 13 of so next we have inserted 14 and 12, so left and right is displayed. So now pre-order format is printed in a proper way. Then 15 of right I'll have 17, that is my root node, so root node is getting displayed here. Followed by that you will go with left and right, so left and right is also displayed here, that is 16 and 18, followed by which I need 20, that is root node, and right, that is 19. So we have just printed everything in a proper way. Now let's see with post order also. In post order only at last we are supposed to have root node, and we have 15 at the last, that is a root node. Same way 17 is also a root node here, so that is at the last. Same way here 13 is a root node, so that is at the last. So first the extreme leftmost part should be 12, then 12 of right in the same level we'll have 14, then root of 12 and 14 is 13. After that I have to print 15, but since it is a post order, 15 should be at last. So next is 16. So 16 of root will be 17, but we are not supposed to print 17. I'll go with right of 17, that is 19. So 19 again has left as well as right part. So after 19 we'll have a right part that is equal to 20. After that we'll have 18. So after this we'll have 17 as an entire root node, followed by which we'll have 15. So now our program execution is perfectly right, and this is all about your in order, pre-order as well as post order traversal for a binary search tree. So followed by this we'll learn about AVL tree rotation process, and which is considered to be a self-balancing tree, and let's see about and let's discuss about the implementation of AVL tree also. So let me go through this code once. So first we have created the class which we need to create the node. Okay, so we have created a class that is used to create the node, and next is about main function. So as usual we have received so up to this do while loop everything will be fine for you guys, and followed by which we had in order traversal, and we are calling out in order, and we are passing a duplicate copy of root, same way with pre-order as well as post order. And when I come back with this insert method, so everything follows the same thing, but when it comes with else part alone, there is a small change. So if the data is less than the root node, then I have to focus on left subtree, else I have to focus on right subtree, right? So this while loop will be continued till it breaks, and after which we have in order format, and in order first I have to print left node, then I have to print the root node, and then I have to print right node. So first left, then give the cout statement, then right. So same way here we have for pre-order we have to print the data first, that is the root node at first, followed by root node I'll be printing left as well as the right node. So after this we are going to do with post order, where at first I have to call out the left node, then right node, and at last it will print the extreme leftmost node, followed by which we will be calling the extreme rightmost node, and the program execution goes in this way, right? So hope you are clear about this. Now let's see about the implementation and basics of AVL tree. Then at last we will come with a comparison of C++ as well as Java. So now let's see the comparison between the same code in Java as well as C++. So first comparing with Java, like so here we have class node, same way here since Java has to be given entirely under a class, I have named it as trees, and followed by which I have a class node over here. So also it is mentioned as static because I want everything should be that should be clubbed under the same object. So that is why we are using the keyword static over here. And also one more thing is like every time we don't want to do the object initialization, so that is one more reason why we are using this static keyword. And next is same way like C++, we have also used data, then left as well as right, and root is given as null, and followed by which we have the insert method. So here in Java, in that insert method we have passed that trees, that is entire class name, and mroot refers the object which I have created for this trees, right? So for the class trees we have created a main object, and this mroot represents the same object, and followed by which everything is almost the same one. Like here temp value is given with root, same way here also I have the value root, but where is this root object given? It is actually under the entire object called as mroot. So that is what we have mentioned here, followed by which both the sides here, that is in C++ 17, 18, 19 and 20. So these four line represents 18, 19, 20 and 21 over here, followed by which if condition is same in both, that is in C++ as well as in Java. Followed by that we have our while loop. So same way here also we are just checking with that. So while loop will run infinitely, and followed by which I will check whether data is less than root. If it is less than root, then it should be in left subtree, and if temp of left is not equal to null, right? So if it is equal to null, then no issue, but when it becomes not equal to null, it means that temp value should be modified as temp of left. And again if I find that data value is still less than the root, then again I have to go with left, and when I find that the left value is equal to null, I'll go with this else part, and I'll just store that new node into that left, and I'll break the loop. So same way we have that else if part, and this else if part is given for this if condition, right? So So for this if, we have a else if part. So what happens is, whenever the data value is greater than temp of data, or you can say it as greater than the root, it should be in right subtree. So here, if the right value is not equal to null, then I'll change temp to temp of right, so that I'll check whether the next right has a right part of null or not. So again, it continues, and at last, after this, we are returning the root value directly, because in Java we very well know we have to store back the references to that object, right? So since here we don't have that pointers concept, we have to return an object. So other than that, everything is almost the same one. So no such difference between C++ and Java. Everything else is same one here. And as usual, we have that in order, pre-order and post-order methods over C++ and Java, where it is almost the same one. So here also we have node root, here also we have node root, and we have node of temp equal to root. Same way here we have node of temp equal to root. Then again the same condition, so if and else condition, and same way we are just using recursion again, and in between we are printing the data. So same way here also, in between we have displayed the data, followed by which we have pre-order as well as post-order, which is almost same which we have written in C++. So only difference is, here we have cout, but in Java we have system.out.println. So apart from this, we have one more difference, that is we have to mention this method as static, because everything it is going to return back is going to be a static object. So that is one more way, one more thing why we are using the static over here. And followed by which we have our main function, and in main function also there is no such big difference except these two lines. So here we have actually created an object for the entire class, and then we have used created an object for the scanner class, through which we are going to receive an input from the user. So apart from this, everything is same, and that's all about the program. So same way here we have 110 lines, and here also we have the same one, right? So there is no such difference in Java as well as C++. So only thing is, we are additionally using that static keyword, and instead of this arrow operator, we are using dot operator in Java, right? So instead of this arrow mark, we are actually using this dot operator whenever it comes with Java, right? So this dot operator is nothing but it is actually called as membership function or membership operator. So that's all about the difference between C++ and Java on implementing a tree algorithm. So that's all about this, and now let's move with the implementation of AVL tree. So before implementing an AVL tree, it is quite hard to write the code. So what I have planned is, I'll be delivering you the logic, and I'll tell you how to just implement a code, and I'll share you the code through GitHub. So self-learning is the best way to understand the AVL tree algorithm, rather than someone teaching you the entire code, right? So you have to work by self, and I'll teach you the entire way how the rotations are going to perform, and how many types of rotations we have for a AVL tree. So now let's quickly move into that. Okay, so now let's discuss something about AVL tree. So what is exactly an AVL tree? So AVL tree is nothing but it is also called as a self-balancing tree. AVL tree is called as a self-balancing tree, and also it is nothing but it carries the same implementation of a binary search tree. And here we will be always focusing on something called as rotations, right? So since it is called as self-balancing tree, it will rotate automatically, and it will adjust according to the values which we have inserted for all the trees node, right? So for example, now assume that I have a tree, or let's assume we have a binary search tree, and root node is here as 5, and leftmost value is 3, and assume that I have a rightmost value as 7. Again, it has a right node as 9. So let's assume in this way. So now if I try to find the maximum height of any particular node, it can be either equal to -1 or 0 or 1, right? So if you try to find the height of any node, so it can be at max -1, or it can be 0, or it can be 1. So first, if I try to find the height of number 3, so here it is going to be 0, and height of the root node 5. So height can be calculated as, so height is equal to height of left subtree minus right subtree. So height can be calculated as height of the left subtree minus height of the right subtree. So here in left subtree, I have the maximum height as 1, minus, what about right subtree? 1 plus 1, it is going to be 2. So 1 minus 2, which gives us minus 1 over here. Same way, if I calculate for 7, it is going to be minus 1, and for 9 it is going to be 0, right? So why do we get minus 1 and minus 1 over here? Because height of the left subtree is just 1 over here, and height of the right subtree is 2, so it should be subtracted with each and every value. So we are getting a negative value over here, and same way here it is like 0 minus 1, so at last our value will be minus 1 itself. So now I can say that all the nodes in this tree actually is in the form of a balanced way. Now comes the problem. So here, if I have one more value, for example, if this is 10, height of 10 will be 0, 9 will be modified as minus 1, here it will be minus 2, and when it comes with this part, so it is also going to be minus, it is going to be greater than minus 2. So for example, it will be equivalent to minus 3. So this is what it happens when a tree is in this form. So now I just want to rotate the entire tree so that it looks in a balanced way. So here we can actually go with multiple rotation types. So let's see about what are all the rotations possible in a AVL tree. So before that, we need to know something about a balance factor. So balance factor is what we have discussed already. So according to balance factor, for each and every node, right? So for every node, height has to be calculated, and the height can be either equal to minus 1 or 0 or 1. Other than these three values, it should not be any other value. So that is what we consider it as a balance factor. Now let's see the formula for finding the balance factor, right? So for finding balance factor, it is nothing but height of left subtree minus that of right subtree. Okay, so let's see one more time with the basics of AVL tree. So AVL tree is also called as a self-balancing tree. It takes the same implementation of a binary search tree, and we are mostly going to focus on rotations, and here we actually have 4 types of rotation, and let's discuss it now. And before that, we need to calculate balance factor for every node, and the values which a balance factor can fetch can be either minus 1 or it can be 0 or it can be 1. So other than that, if I have any such values other than these three, we have to go with a rotation process. So first, we actually have 4 types of rotation. So we have 4 types of rotation. So first rotation is of right side. So first one consists of a right rotation. For example, now assume that I have a value 10 as a root node, followed by 10. Let's assume 10 has a left side node of 8 and 8 has a left side node of 7. So let's assume in this way. So if I try to find the value of or height of 10, it is going to be height of left subtree minus right subtree. So there is no such right subtree over here. So what about left subtree? So left subtree is nothing but 1 and 2. Right, so 2 minus 0, it is going to be 2 itself. Same way, if we try to find the height of 8, height of 8 is going to be 1 and height of 7 is going to be 0. But here 0 is a possible condition, 1 can be a possible one, but 2 cannot be tolerated. Right? So 2 should not be there. So we have to do a rotation here. So how can I do a rotation over here? Right? So here we are going to perform a right rotation so that it looks like a binary search tree. Also it should be in a balanced way. For example, now how I can rotate this one? So I'm going to tilt it one step towards the right, so it becomes 8, which has a left node as 7 and which has a right node as 10. So this is how we can convert this entire tree, and this rotation is considered to be a right rotation where the root node becomes root of left and right node becomes, that is root of right, will be modified as main root node. Right? So this is how it actually works, right? So first is root node of next root node, actually it modifies to root of left, right? So initially you have the number 10, so 10 of left is now modified as root node, and next is about root of right. Okay, so now if I consider 8 to be the root, what should be the root of right? It should be the previous root, right? So that is how the rotation takes place. And now if I try to find the height for 7 and 10, it will be 0 and 0, and for 8 it is also going to be 0, right? So 1 minus 1, it uses the value as 0. So now this is in a balanced way. Same way, now let's take one more example, and here let's see about left rotation. So now let's go with the left rotation, and for left rotation let's assume an example as 10, 12, 14. So let's take this example over here. So where we have 3 nodes in our tree, and one is 10 and other value is 12 and last value is 14. So here 10 is actually a root node, and which has a height of 2, that is -2, and here it will be -1 and at last it will be 0. But again -2 cannot be considered, right? So it can either be -1 or +1 or 0. So again I have to follow a rotation process, and that rotation should be in leftward direction, right? So there is no such possibility of rotating it towards right, but one possibility is moving this 10 to the left of 12, right? So we are going to follow a left rotation where the tree becomes something like 12, left of 12 will be 10 and right of 12 will be 14, right? So here what are all the changes we are making? Root node becomes, right? So root node, it becomes left of 12, and the rightmost node, right? So the rightmost node from this rightmost part of root node becomes root, right? So this is what the two changes we have actually made for a left rotation, and we have done with first two basic rotations. So one is a left rotation as well as another one is a right rotation. Now let's focus on other two types of rotation. So where we'll be focusing on left right rotation as well as right left rotations. So first let's consider about a right left rotation, right? So for example, let me give you an input here. So let it be 10, and let's assume this is 14, and 14 has a left, that is 12, right? So if I try to find the balance factor, so for 10 it will be 1 and 2, right? So it will be -2. For 14 it will be 1, and for 12 it will be 0. So again -2 should not be there, right? So -2 should not be there. We have to do the rotation process. So what I'm going to do is we are going to follow something called as right left rotation, right? So what about right left rotation? So first is I want to rotate it one step right, and then I want to rotate it towards left. So here I cannot directly rotate this since we have a right node as well as a left node. So first I'm going to follow the right rotation for 12 and 14, right? So performing right rotation for 12 and 14 gives you the final output as 10, 12 and 14, right? So following a right rotation for 12 and 14, it makes our tree to look something like 10, 12 and 14. So what is happening here? So 12 and 14, right? So 12 is actually modified as a root node, and this value becomes the right node, right? So that is what it happens. And now what I'm going to do is, right, so here if you have one more node, that will be still remaining the same. For example, if we have the value 15 over here, right? So if I have the value 15 over here, again this 15 will be to the right of 14 itself, right? So there won't be any change with that, but only the root node and this values will be getting modified. So now I have everything in a proper way, and if I try to find the height of 10, right? So if we try to find the height of 10, it will be 1, 2 and 3, right? So -3, and for this -2, -1 and 0. So again here I want to follow one rotation, right? So after this rotation what will happen? So we have to actually follow two rotations. So in those two rotations, let's see what exactly it happens, right? So this 12 will become the root node, 10 will become left of 12, and we'll have 14. 14 will have a right as 15. So now again if I try to find the height for this, this will be 0 and 0. This is going to be -1, and at last over here it is going to be 1 minus 2. So 1 minus 2, it gives me -1. So -1 is acceptable one. So it means that this tree is now in a balanced format, right? So this is what we are actually doing. So what we have done is, first we had a tree where we have the number 10. 10 has a right as 14, 14 has a left as 12, and 14 also has a right as 15. Now I want to do a right rotation at first, right? So we are doing a right rotation. After doing the right rotation, the tree looks something like 10, then 12 sorry guys. So 10, 12, 14 and then 15. So now I am trying to find the entire height of the tree where the root node 10 has the height as -3. So now I want to do a left rotation, right? So now we are going with a left rotation, right? So left rotation. After left rotation, see what happens. So 12, that is right of root node becomes root, and root of the right node becomes left node for the root. So what happens is, for 12 I am just modifying the root node to be the left part, and remaining part it is going to be the same one. And if you try to find the height for the entire tree, it will be in the balanced form, or you can also say balance factor is satisfied for all the nodes in the given tree. So we have focused on right left rotation, and similar to the same we also have one more rotation called as left right rotation. So now let's focus on left right rotation. So left right rotation is the inverse case of the same. Say for example, let me assume we have 14 and I have 12, and again here let me assume that I have a number as 11, and here let's assume we have 13, right? So now what I want to do is, I cannot take say that this is in a balance form. Say for example, here height will be 0, here height will be it will be, yes, it is going to be 0 itself, because 1 and 1, right? So it is going to be 0, and for 14 it is going to be 2, right? So this cannot be performed here, right? So it means that I want to do some rotations and then I have to move with the remaining part. So what I'm going to do is, so I cannot have right node and left node, right? So already 12 has a left as well as right node, so directly I cannot push this 14, that is the root node, to this one, right? So what we have to do is, first we are going to perform a left rotation, right? So first a left rotation should be performed. So based on that left rotation, what happens? So right node of the root will become the root, and the parent node of the root, right node will now become the left child. Say for example, so it has to be taken place between these three values, that is 11, 12 and 13. So there won't be any change with 11, but only change is going to happen on 13 and 12. So it looks something like 14 will be there as such, and I'll have 13 will have a left node as 12, and 12 will have a left node as 11. So this is how it looks after the left rotation. Now if I try to find the balance factor, this is going to be 0, then 1, 2, 3. So this cannot be again tolerated, so we have to go with the right rotation. So if I try to do the right rotation, this 14 becomes right of 13. So after right rotation, so after doing a right rotation, the tree looks something like 13, and 13 of right will have 14, and 13 of left I will have 12 as well as 11. So now if I try to find the balance factors, so for 11 it is 0, for 12 it will be 1, and for 14 it will be 0, and for 13, right? So 2 minus 1, it is going to be 1 itself, right? So 2 minus 1. So why is it 2? Because left subtree height is 2 and right subtree it is 1. So 2 minus 1, I'll get 1 itself. So now I can say the tree is in a balanced form. So these are all the 4 types of rotations available in a AVL tree. And what are all the 4 types of rotation? So we'll just discuss it one more time. So right rotation, and second one is left rotation, and third one is left right rotation, and the last one is going to be right left rotation. So that's all about that AVL tree rotation, and this rotations will be happening every time, and every time our program will check with the balance factor, and only if the balance factor is in a proper case, say for example if it is in 0 or 1 or -1, it will proceed with the insertion of further elements, else it will rotate the entire tree. Only after that it will check for the remaining conditions, right? So this is what the main thing which we have to focus about AVL tree. And let's go through this one more time. So AVL tree is also called as a self-balancing tree, and it follows the implementation of a binary search tree, and it focuses more on rotations of the tree, and there are something called as balance factors, where for every node it can be either -1, 0 or 1. So that's all about the things which we need to know about a AVL tree. And one more thing, so if anyone asks you what is the real-time application for a AVL tree, right? So it is nothing but automatic spelling corrections, right? So auto spell check algorithm is nothing but it is also implemented by using AVL tree, and also you can say the same algorithm is actually written by using try tree also, right? So tri-tree algorithm or AVL tree algorithm, it is actually used in both the implementations. For example, if you type the spelling of good morning as GUD, so sometimes it can be automatically corrected to GOOD, or else if I type the spelling of that is THE, instead of this spelling, if I type it as TEH and press space, automatically in my Microsoft Word it will be corrected to THE. So the thing is, it is actually enabled with something called as automatic spelling correction, where those spelling corrections are actually implemented by using this AVL tree.